go live. Oh no, I don't. Good morning. This is Izzy Sylvester coming to you from West Somerset. I'm one of the village agents down there, and we're here. I'm just going to say it again. Anybody tuning in for the first time, your village agents are there every day, 9 to 5, to support you with whatever you need help with. Meanwhile, we are being helped, the village agents right across Somerset, by my guest this morning. And my first guest is Carolyn Smith. So Carolyn Smith has been doing a lot of work with the village agents to help us, because a lot of us have been starting days feeling quite anxious, feeling that darkness, because it's been tough working hard. It's tough in a lockdown. It's tough for all our family members. So Carolyn's been doing that work with us. Our second guest this morning is Mark Shields, and he's my colleague in West Somerset. And he's very bravely, I'm going to say for a guy, has agreed to come on and tell us about how the breathing and other things that Carolyn's been doing has helped him. Carolyn, do you want to come in firstly and just introduce yourself briefly?
Yep, sure, Izzy. So my background's working in mental health services, mainly in Somerset. Gosh, been here probably about 17, 18 years, was in Hampshire before that. And worked in and managed mental health services for the NHS, and then moved over to the county council. And along my journey, I guess like village agents, the job was quite emotionally tiring and stressful. So I needed to find my own ways to be able to manage, my own levels of stress. And I found that yoga really helped me. This is going back a few years now. And some of the simple techniques from yoga made a massive difference. And then I started to think, this combination of some mental health knowledge and also the yoga as well, I think they could go together really well. So I ended up leaving my job and setting up on my own, and really focused now on yoga for emotional mental health, but also do wellbeing work with organisations like the Fabulous Village Agents. So that's a little bit about me.
So Mark, do you want to just introduce yourself and just say a little bit? Do you want to start by coming in and immediately saying how the work with Carolyn, we've met her as a group, and we've also been doing some other work, how it's helped you?
Yeah, so it's been very important for us, isn't it, across the board, to be honest. Having Carolyn's input and knowing that she's there, to support us through these difficult times. Winter's a tough time anyway for a lot of people. Personally don't like it. The dark nights, I'm more of a sun person, and throw a pandemic in the mix, lockdown, third lockdown, it's been really brutal, to be honest. Mental health was a problem, as we know, Izzy, the job we do prior to the pandemic. Lots of clients and ourselves, so coming out of this, across the county, across the world, I think we're going to see really hit hard with, and all ages as well. Let's not forget the children who haven't been able to go to school, have their routine. Let's not forget the elderly clients, elderly people of the nation who haven't been able, in the later years of their life, and want to enjoy that and haven't been able to go out. It really, looking at the bigger picture, it's all ages through this, which have suffered. So it's working with Carolyn, she's helped me actually to slow down at work as well, and take a check every now and again, sit down, then 10 minutes and just relax. When I get in a heightened state, I'm very, I've got to get my work done, and it's not good for you, to be wired all the time like that. So yeah, it's helped. It's helped massively. I have my own little toolbox anyway over the years of how I deal with things and stuff. But this has been an add-on for me. So yeah.
Can you tell us what I've been doing with Carolyn on these morning sessions is to get her to take us through some of the breathing techniques. What are the things that are really helping you, Mark? Are you finding that you're starting the day with some of Carolyn's techniques, or are you using it, as you say, to slow down in the day? When are you using it, and what bits are you finding particularly useful?
Yeah, so over the years, really only since I've moved down Somerset have I kind of, addressed my own personal issues and stuff like that, and found what worked for me in terms of therapy for, struggling for decades, with PTSD. So what have I been down here? 7 years, 8 years. So it's been a relatively new journey for me. But so I've got a Shakti mat. I don't know if people know what it is, but it's almost like a bed of nails, and I lie on that at night. Got the pillow there.
Oh, she's got the
pillow. Yeah. So I find that it takes a little while to get used to, but I find that very, very relaxing. And you only need 20 minutes on it of a night, and it really does help you to sleep. I use mindfulness as well. Love my mindfulness. I've tried your curtain chanting as well. Is that? But I find it quite repetitive, and this is where from the mental health side of things, having that toolbox, it's what works for you. For other people necessarily might not work for you. You have to go on that journey and find what works best for you. And so I have a little toolbox of what I can turn to. I give myself a good talking to every day. I battle every day. And I have to give myself a good talking to sometimes, because there's always people out there worse off. We are struggling. We are in the midst of this terrible disease, and it's really bad. But you think about all the other people in poorer countries that that are struggling a lot worse than us. So we have to be grateful for what. No matter how bad it seems, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So you just have to go on that journey. That would be my advice. You really have to go on that journey and take stock of what you have. That everything is that it is worth living for, and to start creating that toolbox of what's good for you. Running's a big thing for me. I love to go out running. Obviously that's not feasible for everyone, so again it could be finding what is good for you, to be able to get you through them dark times, and you can just pull them things together. Once my sleep starts to knock out, I know that I'm starting to have go through a bad period. The intrusive thoughts come in, you're tossing and turning at night, and so I start to implement even more so that toolbox that I turn to. So yeah, that's how I deal with things.
It's really interesting what you were saying, Mark, about being grateful for those little things, because our minds can be quite negative. If we think about our brains, our brains are trying to protect us all the time, so they're sort of scanning, looking for danger, and we're looking for those threats. And actually turning it around, stepping back and thinking, okay, so what am I grateful for today? And it can be those really small little things, can't it? In fact, this morning I popped outside just very quickly to put the bins out, and the sun was out. And I was saying to Mark and Izzy just before I came on here, I could actually feel the warmth from the sun for the first time this year. You know, those really simple little things.
The small thing, and before we come, I sat and had a coffee in the garden this morning. That, you know, the sun was out, the birds were chirping, and it's just I sat there, just listened. You know, just be mindful of what's around you and just sit there and listen sometimes. And just the birds chirping away and having that sun on my face just made a whole lot of difference. You know, it is just the little things. I think it was the second lockdown. I remember going. I wasn't having a particularly good day, and I remember going into Costa to get a takeaway coffee. And I just wanted to sit in and have a coffee, you know, just a simple little thing that we take for granted, you know, and it made me really angry. It made my blood boil to the point that I almost wanted to cry. You know, I was just like, it's just a simple little thing that's been taken away. But it meant so much at that time. And it is sometimes it, again, we say the little things, you know, it can be them little things that like all add up that can then just make you, you know, just descend into that, you know, real dark place. And even more so now, you know, we can't emphasize it enough, you know, how, you know, as communities, we've really got to pull together as we come out of this, you know, for people's mental, you know, mental well-being, because it's having a massive impact board. So, it's just the little things, isn't it? Sometimes just the little things.
Sorry, I was going to ask Mark, you know, when something like that's happens, do you know, and you were talking about taking a break to calm down in the day.
Yeah.
Just interested, do you use some of the breathing things that Carolyn's been teaching us? Is that one of your tools? Yeah,
and it's classic. That goes back to, you know, the classic count to 10, isn't it? You know what I mean? Before you know, before you react, and that sometimes, and it's just taking stock, taking a deep breath, and sometimes I drive down to in my head down to Culver Cliff and just sit there, you know, watching the waves, and just calm myself down, because it's, you know, being reactive, isn't it, you know, to the situation that you actually find yourself in that time. I'm a very emotional person. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm not afraid to show my emotions and stuff, which I think a lot of people struggle with, especially when they talk about you know, mental health. So yeah, I'll keep going back to that toolbox. It's so important to have that toolbox to be able to call on them different techniques, because I can't pull my Shakti mat out, can I, in the middle of Costa?
Tell us about that Shakti mat, Carolyn.
Sorry, say that again.
Tell us about the Shakti mat.
They are absolutely brilliant. So I'll get my cushion out again. You know, I use this often on the back of my chair when I'm talking on Zoom for hours on end. I'll pop this behind my back, and I don't know if you can see the little spikes on it, and it's supposed to be, I don't know if there's any science behind it particularly, but they sort of stimulate acupuncture pressure points, and the mats, they're sort of big enough for the whole of your back to be on. I've got two actually, so I can see my legs as well at the same time. And basically, just lie on them. Someone recommended them for me a while ago, and just incredible. It sort of tingles to start with, and it can be a bit much when you first, you know, it's best to wear a t-shirt or something to start with, but then bare skin is even better. And you can always feel like the muscles really starting to release and relax and get to a really nice place of calm. So, so as you can see, it's something that I use a lot. Because I find it really works for me. So it's great.
What price are they, and where do we get them from, Carolyn?
You can get them easily online, you know, sort of any of the big online, you know, like Amazon, for instance. And I think off the top of my head, because I've had mine for a while, I think probably under £20 to get a cushion and
a set now for about a tenner, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Great. That's brilliant. And I don't think it matters on the brand, or, you know, as long as they've got those little spiky bits, you know, yeah, probably the cheaper ones are probably every bit as good. Sounds like that's what you're saying, Mark.
I mean, it is, isn't it? Is sometimes it's trial and error, but I think it's always the way, isn't it? You get the branded ones come out, and then sometimes, you know, the other ones are just as good. So I mean, the original Shakti mats are about £40, I think.
Right.
So they're quite expensive.
Quite a lot. Yeah. They're really good last thing at night as well, before going to bed. It's a great way to use them.
I use mine. Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly when I use mine. Perfect to wind down and relax. I use it when I'm reading. I use it when I'm watching TV. And absolutely exactly that. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really interesting what you were saying a while ago, Mark, about when you notice that your sleep is not quite how it, you know, how you like it to be, that's a real sign for you. And it sounds like at that point that you start to use your toolkit even more. Yeah,
exactly. Sorry, sun on my face, so I should. Being on camera, I need to. It is that it's recognizing when you're starting to, and it's taken, you know, it has taken me years to, you know, it can be done. You know, I'm sounding bad. You know, obviously it can be done a lot sooner. You know, but it's taken me a while to. I think you know, over the past sort of like 5-10 years, especially with yoga, Pilates, and, you know, alternative therapies and stuff like that, they're coming to the fore more and more. People talking about them more and stuff. You know, 10-20 years ago, you know, there weren't no Shakti mats around, or, you know, mindfulness. It was just like, what's that? You know, Izzy probably know about it all, but you know, I think as things have evolved with mental health, there are things out there that we can access on, you know, quite easily and free of charge, like on YouTube and stuff, which are great to put in your toolbox to be able to, you know, to help. I mean, I've tried self-help books as well. Doesn't appeal to me. I've tried to read them, and you know, they just don't appeal to me. But like to somebody else, you know, podcasts as well. You know, you get people, loads of them out there. You know, do podcasts and stuff. You know, how to have a, you know, positive mental attitude and stuff like that. There's so much free stuff out there that people can access, which is fantastic nowadays.
You know, just saying about podcast, Mark, it's reminded me. I'm just going to give a plug for the local NHS podcast, which is all around emotional health and well-being. So I think it's called. I'll write a comment later on, but the Somerset Emotional Well-being podcast, and there's lots of really good episodes. It's two GPs that present it. And really good advice, you know, about coping with, you know, the shorter days at the moment, about anxiety. So I would really recommend those for anybody who likes podcasts. It's a great way to get really good information.
Well, and as you said that, Carolyn, I was in fact likewise thinking of the NHS, but because if you go in on their website and you just NHS anxiety, what you can do, a client of mine has done this last week and I've had some fantastic feedback. She's feeling overwhelmed with anxiety, not quite sure what to do with herself first thing in the morning. So she's literally, there's a short quiz about how you're feeling, what you want to do, and literally you are given a plan. So now every morning she feels like I've got a plan, I know what to do. So she's been given some breathing exercises. It's obviously they must have got a certain number of them, and she's got a few stretches and exercises, and she feels ready to go.
That sounds really good.
So you can get a little bespoke for free anxiety and stretching workout from the NHS. So I think that sounds fantastic for anybody, especially if you're struggling with money, and it just gives you that very clear plan. This is what to do.
Yeah,
that sounds brilliant.
Yeah, there's so much free stuff out there. It's just got to go on YouTube, get yoga classes, everything. It's it really is, the breathing techniques and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, I know I was saying to Carolyn last week, Mark, since coming on talking to her, I do yoga because I've been doing it for many years. However, the crucial thing is the breathing. And to think that I can do that all the time, first thing in the morning, work, anxiety, I'm worried about my mum, this, that, and the other. I just thought, you fool, Izzy, how really foolish. I can't do that myself. So now I've got my lovely, it's just a free thing on YouTube, but she's taking me through lovely flow yoga, but she's telling me what to do with the breathing. And for me, that's been the big thing that's just helped me in the last couple of weeks, getting back to that. No, we're not superhuman. We just can't do it. Or it's fine to feel low. We can't do this all ourselves, can we?
No, and that's really important. What you've just said there is it's okay not to be okay. It's it's absolutely fine. And talk about it. And it's interesting you said there, someone guiding you with the breathing. I've got a friend, and I spoke to Carolyn about this actually, because I think people just do mindfulness, even if they're driving a car and stuff. And I'm just like, how can you? And it's just about taking in your surroundings and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't get that. I don't, that's just me. And again, it's about finding what's right for you. So I always have to use guided meditation. And again, you have to enjoy the voice that you're listening to. I've listened to some, and it's just like, oh my God, you're really annoying. So again, it's about finding that voice that that resonates with you and that calms you, and so it definitely is a journey, and don't up with trying to find the right one, because it is trial and error. The one I use is called The Honest Guys, and they're on YouTube, loads of free stuff on there, and really, the voice is good for me, and it's some of them are just not so good, but it's again, it's just finding what you're using.
It's really interesting, Mark, that you say that you like the guided meditation. Because actually this morning, when you were outside having your tea or your coffee, taking notice of the birds, listening to them, that mindfulness, that's exactly what you were doing.
Yeah, I know, I get that, and it's the same when I go out running, like when I'm up the hills and stuff, and they're, especially when I go on my long runs, like in the summer, I'll be out for 6 hours and there'll be no one around.
Wow.
And it's beautiful, you know what I mean? I'm up there, up the hills, and it's just that, and it's just taking it all in around you, and it's just, it's absolutely stunning. We're very, very lucky, where we live, like fortunate, but it's just beautiful. I know what you're saying. That is part of my. But I think I really want to tune in and kick my sleep and stuff back in, but because with the guided, you're doing all the breathing and that at the same time, aren't you? like what you do, you know, Carolyn, they say, you know, feel your tummy, you know, feel your knees, feel your ankles, feel your toes, you know, and you're doing the body scan, the full body scan. So yeah, it's different things. And talking about the breathing, Izzy, because I got a book at Christmas from my daughter, the Wim Hof Method. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Talking about Wim. You know, I'm very close to the sea here, so we was only talking about it the other day. Come summer, I'm going to try and because apparently the sea holds magical powers. So I've been told by quite a few people. So I'm going to try and get in there in the summertime and carry it through winter and stuff, because you know, I know quite a few people locally who do it, and they really highly recommend it.
There might be an earlier challenge coming, Mark.
Right.
I just wondered if we would like to maybe wind it up. It's been amazing having you on, Mark, and you've been so honest, and I really feel this is what men need to hear. It's okay to talk about it. The other thing, just before I ask Carolyn to do a little breathing with us, if that's okay, Carolyn, Mark is doing some work around setting up a men's running group. As you can tell, Mark is a very non-judgmental, loving guy who would be a marvelous guy to run with. So that's something we're looking at over here in West Somerset, and I hope there is other people in different parts of the counties who are looking at the same sort of thing. So is that okay? Over to you, Carolyn.
Yep, absolutely. Well, let's take about 3 minutes or so to do some breathing, and we'll do calming breathing. So what I'm going to suggest, if you're going to join in with me, is to first of all sit quite tall on your seat and have your feet so they're firmly placed on the floor. So for me, you can't tell on here, but I'm actually quite short, so I have to come forward quite a long way to be able to get my feet flat on the floor. And then what I'd like you to notice is your body position to start with, you know, noticing if there's any hunching or, you know, sort of clenching in terms of the fists. Just notice and imagine that you're feeling really relaxed. Just imagine it at the moment. And then try to move your body into that position that's really relaxed. Okay, so you may move from sort of being a bit forward, being tight, letting the shoulders drop right down, letting the hands open. And from here, I'm going to suggest either closing your eyes or just looking downwards, looking at something that's not very interesting at all. And let's start by noticing where the breath is in the body. So not making any changes, just noticing. And it could be that the breath is really high up in the chest, might even feel in the throat, or it may be lower down. So this is just doing the check-in to start with. And there's no judgment here, it's just noticing because the breath is giving us feedback. So what we want to do is bring the breath down much lower into the belly, really low down. So you may like to place the hands low on the belly, so under the navel, really low down. And then when you next inhale, see if you can breathe into the hands. So you might feel the tummy rising. And then when you exhale, maybe feel the tummy just drawing back towards the spine. And if the breath is much higher up still, then don't force it down. So there's no rush here. We're giving a little time, a little space for the breath. What you find over time is that the breath will naturally start to drop. So really focusing now on the breath being ever so gentle. We don't need to take great big breaths. Feeling the tummy rising on the inhale, and on the exhalation, feel the tummy drawing back to the spine. And notice if the jaw is clenched. See if you can soften the jaw a little. You could even give it a little wiggle side to side. And have the teeth a little apart, lips gently closed, and breathing through the nostrils. So you may even notice on each inhale that the air is cool on the nostrils. And then when you exhale, the air is warm. So inhaling cool air, exhaling warm air. Feel the tummy rising and falling. Let the shoulders soften down even more. Imagine the shoulder blades dropping down the back. And then soften the forehead and across the brow. You often hold a lot of tension there. Just imagine smoothing out that skin across the forehead and the brow. Let's take just another 3 or 4 breaths here. And it usually takes 3 to 5 minutes for this type of breathing to start to send calming signals up to the brain. If you're not used to doing it, it can take longer. It can take time to get used to it. But persevering is the key, doing it regularly. So now, just come back to a really comfortable breath, so there's no control over it. And feel the feet on the ground. Really have a little press into the ground with the feet. Feel that connection. You might feel the sitting bones pressing down into the chair. And then give your fingers and your toes just a little wiggle. And then slowly start to open your eyes or lift the gaze as you come back into the room. How was that? How did you get on?
Nice.
That's me like giving a little present.
And it's probably much harder doing it while you're sort of live on this live stream, trying to really relax and and switch off. But yeah. I hope
Thank you, Carolyn.
That was good. Okay.
So thank you everybody for tuning in, and Carolyn and I will be back to talk a little more about how breath can affect things like nutrition and how your stomach digests food. So we're going to keep talking about this really, really simple technique that's free to everybody, and how all the other benefits of doing that. So thank you so much, Mark, for coming on, and thank you, Carolyn, again.
You're so welcome, and amazing, Mark, coming on and talking so openly, because it's not an easy thing to do. So credit to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thanks, then. Bye. Bye.